I've reviewed a comedy where a man turns himself into a turtle. I've reviewed a film where a rapist goes around threatening minors as a ghost. And I've covered 3 ridiculous feline comedies. But just when you think you've seen it all, here comes the Gopher Chucks.
Ho 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 ho! Delightfully devilish, Seymour.
Yes, everybody, welcome back to Delightfully Devilish, the show where we discuss films that all at once meet the criteria of being the good, the bad, and the ugly. I'm your host, Jukebox Harry, and today we are looking at the Citizen Kane of martial arts comedies, in one particular sense of the word. Kung Pao Enter the Fist is a 2002 martial arts comedy written, produced, directed by, and starring Steve Oedekerk, which was so negatively received by critics that it actually tied with the Master of Disguise for the Stinkers Bad Movie Award for Most Painfully Unfunny Comedy. But if you go to Rotten Tomatoes, you will see that there is a very huge divide between the opinions of critics and audiences on this film. I have watched Kung Pao Enter the Fist at least 4 times in my life. The first time I watched the movie, I wasn't a fan. I thought it was a bit too juvenile and ridiculous for my liking. The second and third times I watched it, I had my standards set, and I ended up having a really good time with the film. I thought the bombastic energy was hilarious. On the 4th viewing, which was for this review, I gotta say I had rather mixed feelings, and a big factor in that was because of the fact that I was watching it alone. Now, this is one of those comedies that, due to its energy, it's best watched within a crowd of people. The creator of this film, Steve Oedekerk, has worked on a lot of notable projects. He was a writer on both the Nutty Professor films, the first one which I loved, and the sequel which I had a lot of mixed feelings for, as I discussed in my review. He was also a writer for Evan Almighty and Patch Adams, and he was a writer-director for Barnyard, Nothing to Lose, and Ace Ventura When Nature Calls, and none of those films were very well received. However, he also wrote and produced both Jimmy Neutron Boy Genius and Bruce Almighty, 2 movies I've loved since my childhood. With this film, he actually took pre-existing footage from the 1976 martial arts film Tiger and Crane Fists. Then he spliced himself into the footage using CGI and shot new footage with a bunch of lookalike actors and created a hybrid that was half new footage and half old footage. And I have to admit that even before you actually discuss the quality of the film's humor, that is a very ambitious task, and the director, he does a really good job of it. By doing that, Steve Oedekerk was able to make this film on a budget of only $10 million, and that is a pretty solid accomplishment. If you've ever actually seen the original film, it was directed by and starring Jimmy Wang Yu, who was notorious for starring in the 1976 Australian-Hong Kong co-production The Man from Hong Kong, which is a pretty classic piece of 70s trash exploitation cinema. Anyway, as someone who loves martial arts films, let's enter the fist. Kung Pao starts at an unspecified time in an Asian home. The villain of the film comes to a house and kills the patriarch in search of a child.
The chosen one.
Attempts to kill the child prove futile because the baby knows how to kick ass. The child turns into a product of incredibly obvious CGI as it jumps and flips around the room. Let that set the standard for the style of humor in this film. And remember, this is not the first time that Steve Oedekerk has had a role in writing a film where a baby pees on someone as one of the main jokes. After getting his ass kicked, the villainous Master Pain burns down the home, but the chosen one manages to escape and crawl to the road where he rolls down a hill.
So cute. Bye-bye.
Kung Pao Enter the Fist. The child grows into a Caucasian adult, because remember, the real heroes are always white people.
He wandered the wilderness in search of the one who stole his life. On he walked, and sometimes drove, and occasionally partied with the desert creatures.
And everyone is out to get him, apparently.
Your days are over, mister.
The first fight scene kicks the film off to a pretty good start. Steve Oedekerk captures the manic energy of a good fight scene and performs well, displaying some actual talent for fighting and a very energetic style of physical comedy.
The more he fought, the more his powers grew.
Jesus Christ, this film has no shame, and I'm very happy with that. And the fights keep coming.
Open your mouth!
It takes a certain talent to be able to use jokes that go on for way too long to the point where they actually become funny all over again, and Steve Oedekerk manages to deliver it on occasion with this film. On occasion. Jesus Christ, it looks like he's about to do the hamster style of fighting from Orgasmo. And there is the mark of the Chosen One. When Kung Pao is action-focused, it spends little time messing around and consistently delivers jokes with a brisk pace. And Oedekerk manages to avoid repetition and keeps changing the ways he takes down his enemies to ensure that there is a variety of jokes in there.
I need gopher chucks.
I don't think you can say that you've ever seen a film where gopher chucks have been a thing before, so that has to get points for originality. He's also surprisingly good with nunchuck techniques, which is apparently the only thing he's trained in. I did some research and learned that he professed to be completely hopeless at martial arts, yet he directed, wrote, produced, and played the starring role in a movie about martial arts. And honestly, with his physical energy, he really had me fooled. Then the film cuts to the stock footage of Tiger and Crane fists, where you can see a shift in the visual quality, and Oedekerk has chroma keyed himself into the footage.
I've traveled many years and miles to find you.
How many miles? Would you say 10 million?
No, I don't think 10 million. Look, I need your help. I live under constant attack.
That is a very typical thing for a white man to say.
It will be impossible for us to help you.
Master, I implore you to reconsider.
Okay. The man you seek, his name is Master Pain. He has great powers and is well protected by the evil council.
He edited a CGI bug into an old martial arts film just because he could. This scene takes a fair shift in pacing. After a fast beginning, Kung Pao goes back on itself and slows things down immensely during the talkative moments.
Master, I was hoping one day I could be the chosen one.
Be quiet.
Master, I don't like him very much.
I enjoy this film, but I'll admit that sometimes its jokes get a little too juvenile for my liking, and much of the time it's in the dubbing jokes.
I must apologize for Wimp Lo. He is an idiot. We have purposely trained him wrong, as a joke.
If you've got an ass, I'll kick it.
The true Chosen One will bear the mark of infinite wisdom. What in God's name is that thing?
Great question.
The scene drags on and some of the jokes get a little repetitive, such as the repeated flashback gags, but it still has its moments.
Yes, play me like a drum.
Steve Oedekerk himself dubs all the other characters in this scene, and sometimes the vocals he does can be a bit annoying. Most notably with the characters Wimp Lo and Ling, who are both portrayed as being very whiny.
Your confidence is disproportional to your abilities. I will defeat him. Please don't.
Once we get back to the action, the film's comedic energy kicks back in again. Some of the jokes can be hit and miss, but they move along fast, so there are still plenty of different gags on offer. The Chosen One and Wimp Lo end up in combat, which is constructed almost entirely of stock footage with just a few added scenes of Steve Oedekerk spliced in there. And the whole thing feels a bit awkward, but they stop halfway to the news that Master Pain is in town. Master Pain displays his intense strength, and none of this ridiculous footage is actually new. This was all in the original film, believe it or not, so it goes to show that Oedekerk has picked the perfect film to sample from.
Ah, well.
First, a joke. What do you get when you cross an owl with a bungee cord? My ass.
Oh, I get it. I get jokes.
Aside from that gag, there's not really too much else to boast about in the dinner scene.
From this day forward, you will all refer to me by the name Betty.
But isn't Betty a woman's name?
Yeah, because calling a guy Betty is, that's definitely peak comedy. Next, we have the Chosen One attempting to develop the same strength as Betty, showing us what would happen in real life if someone was actually subjected to that kind of attack. He gets beaten to the ground, and unlike before, this gag does go on for too long. So I'm just gonna fast forward to nighttime when he meets the one-breasted Woe, who tells him that he needs special training to fight Betty. He fights her, and the film picks up once again, showing off some more of the skills that Oedekerk professes not to have.
We will meet again, Chosen One. Many more times in the sequel.
Oedekerk himself revealed in 2015 that he was working on a sequel. It's been 5 years and we haven't heard much news, but Honestly, I really want to see a sequel to this movie.
Taco Bell, product placement with Taco Bell. Incharito, macho burrito.
I have to give props to Steve Oedekerk for picking the most arbitrary things to splice into the archive footage. Product placement, CGI bugs, just, he does it so unnecessarily, and that is what's funny. But of course, the best example is the guy with the boombox in the fight scene.
Can't touch this.
I'm sorry. I must fight you when I am stronger.
Ling begs the Chosen One not to fight Betty.
Stay alive. Stay and live a life here with me.
That is probably my least favorite part of the film. Ling's wheezing and whining, it becomes repetitive really fucking fast, and we still have a lot of it to deal with.
He is well protected. It's impossible.
Well, first of all, through God, all things are possible, so jot that down.
You'll never make it. Never make it. Ever make it. Never make it. Never make it. You'll never make it. Ever. Don't you see you can make it?
Yep, she is definitely the worst character.
I implore you to reconsider.
Okay.
Apparently that line works on everybody. On his quest, the Chosen One fights a poorly CGI'd cow, and this is probably the peak of the film. Once again, Oedekerk's fight skills are solid, even up against a completely animated figure, and as an early 2000s film, this movie makes sure to throw in a Matrix reference. This is the equivalent of the Turtle Club scene from The Master of Disguise. This is a joke that you would think it is physically impossible for the film to outdo in terms of sheer ridiculousness. And honestly, the downright absurdity definitely gets me. We even get a second Matrix reference thrown in there. Eventually, the Chosen One is able to triumph over the cow, and guess where he runs into Betty?
Down by the river.
Well, you must be quite a fighter to make it past my cow. What is it you want?
Evil Betty, I've come to finish something I should have done years ago.
Well, you've grown. I thought you looked familiar. Sorry, I didn't recognize you without crap in your pants.
Oedekerk took a few seconds of footage from the original movie and used it again and again to create a conversation in this scene. I have to give him props for that as well.
You mustn't. You are not ready.
Who are you?
Ling's father.
Oh dear.
Holy shit, there's two of them.
No one man can defeat Betty.
Dad, I wish you could just shut your big yapper.
This fight scene is fairly amusing, even though again it's because it's composed mostly of archive footage. The Chosen One and Ling's father both get disabled and washed down the river.
All over me. I'm getting wet. Phrasing?
The two return to Master Tang, an old friend of Ling's father.
No. Please, I have a wound there.
Yeah, why was this guy doing that in the original film?
He was my father my entire life. We were friends. I loved him. And now he's dead. Except for his hair and nails. Dead.
Okay, that one snuck up on me. Ling disrobes and redresses several times. Then the film parodies The Lion King.
I don't understand.
Of course you don't. I'm speaking in riddles. This is CNN.
Wait.
Simpsons did it! Simpsons did it!
This is CNN.
Tiger. Tiger, tiger, tiger. Bird. Birdie. Birdie, birdie.
Honestly, after a while, the juvenile nature of Betty, it really does catch on to me. Considering just how pretentious kung fu movie villains typically are, the way this film parodies the archetype is quite something.
I am a great magician. Your clothes are red.
Wow. Please, do it again. What is the evil council's plan?
It is evil. It is so evil. It is a bad, bad plan that will hurt many people that are good. I think it's great because it's so bad.
If that doesn't sum this film up, I don't know what does.
What of the Chosen One?
I'll kill him. I'll kill him dead.
Betty comes to town and starts kicking ass in search of the Chosen One.
Ouchie.
He also starts interrogating Ling.
Stop, please! I can't take anymore!
It's groin! It works at so many levels! We get another fight scene, but like the others, it's all just archive footage with the addition of a guy holding a boombox CGI'd into it again. There's not much I can say about these scenes which actually comment on the quality of Oedekerk's film, since he isn't the one who created them, but they still remain entertaining fight scenes.
You go that way. I'll go home.
Then they're filmed as a classic Monty Python gag.
Chosen one!
Ling?
Hurry! I'm coming! Chosen one! I'm coming! Chosen one! I'm coming! Chosen one! I'm coming!
Even though this copies a gag from a far superior film, it still works. I was still laughing. Okay, this I like. I've seen way too many movies where the characters just randomly fall when nets are dropped on them. Clearly Oedekerk agrees with me that that idea is pretty ridiculous. The Chosen One finds his master dying.
Master, no!
And Ling too.
Ling!
Flush that turd down the drain!
No, it's not.
Okay, so once again, Oedekerk is able to drag the gag out for so long that it actually becomes funny again. Jesus, for every single joke in this film that goes on for too long, there is a joke that goes on for just long enough. This film is about as awfully funny as it is just plain awful at times.
Perfectly balanced, as all things should be.
Never mind, they're actually all alive, including Ling, unfortunately.
We were on the verge of greatness. We were this close.
Betty has gone too far. Killing is wrong. And bad. There should be a new, stronger word for killing, like badwrong or badong. Yes, killing is badong. From this moment, I will stand for the opposite of killing. Gnadab.
After hearing that speech, I want to fuck you up with the fact that the guy who wrote this film has in fact been nominated for an Oscar. He tries training himself to remove the spiked protectors from his enemy's armor, but to no avail.
Looks like it's his time of the month again.
How about now?
Images that hurt to look at. Oedekerk outdoes himself again. He just keeps surprising me.
You just get stranger and stranger and stranger.
My thoughts on this film exactly. She then burns hands, which do very obviously not belong to him. And now that his touch has been roughed up, he develops the ability to remove the spikes.
And here I was starting to think you were just a sadistic psycho bitch.
What are you guys doing later, huh? I was just going to hang out, but maybe we could get a pizza or, you know, scam some chicks or something, right?
Cozy and enjoying the good life.
That guy should get a job as a waiter at IHOP.
The first move could be like this. I could leap like a freak, then throw in a back-snapping eel strike. But he'd have a clear shot at my ribs. I could always pretend I'm a bird. But that would just look stupid and leave my small sensitive balls completely exposed.
For all the ridiculous jokes in Kung Pao, it does occasionally make a valid commentary on the ridiculous tropes in Kung Fu movies, but unfortunately it doesn't really take advantage of its satirical potential.
I'll take a pound of nuts.
That's a lot of nuts!
Okay, that one caught me off guard as well. This film keeps lulling you into a sense of easiness, and then it just smacks you with unpredictable humor.
That'll be $4, baby! You want fries with that?
And the guy hands him what looks like dead flowers.
I don't understand it at all, but God, I love it.
Oedekerk even imposes the image of a phone into the archive footage.
He just left! With nuts!
And he uses stock footage of squirrels. Finally, the Chosen One and Betty cross paths, and this fight reveals that it's not just going to be stock footage this time round.
I could dance like that. If I felt like it.
Okay, so this scene actually comes very close to the cow fight scene as being among the best moments in the film.
You killed my family, and I don't like that kind of thing.
Kung Pao goes full over the top as the two duke it out, and it's sure to make use of wire work as well.
My undies.
And if you thought this film didn't have any more tricks up its sleeve, in comes a terrible CGI flying pyramid which grants its power to Betty.
Enjoy the paralyzer!
The Chosen One proves no match for Betty's new strength, but by utilizing the power of flashbacks, the Chosen One is able to unleash the power of his tongue to destroy the pyramid. The rest of the pyramids flee and the Chosen One rises again, successfully removing Betty's armored triangles.
Ouch! I fell and hurt my tummy.
Thank you, squirrel friend. Your soft, cushy body helped absorb the force of his blow.
Phrasing, boom!
Now for my part of the bargain.
What the fuck?
What is your purpose?
I see you brought your friends this time.
I most definitely want to see that sequel. And in the credits you can see the making of footage revealing a lot of impressive filmmaking techniques that went into making Kung Pao happen, and they're actually really fascinating to look at. We also get some outtakes and deleted scenes. Is Kung Pao Enter the Fist a good film? Definitely not.
I implore you to reconsider.
Okay then, is Kung Pao Enter the Fist a good film?
Yeah, sure.
Before discussing this film, I want to make a note of saying that if you watch this movie on DVD, you have 3 different options for how you can watch it. In its original form, with all the dialogue that the actors actually said before they were dubbed, or with all the lines read by a calm British narrator, the book on tape version. There's a lot of different ways you can enjoy Kung Pao Enter the Fist. As a whole, Kung Pao Enter the Fist is a very messy martial arts comedy. Rotten Tomatoes accurately describes it as a sketch worth of material stretched out in a feature length. Luckily that feature length is only 81 minutes though, so it doesn't really overstay its welcome if you're enjoying it. The film is largely a hit and miss affair because there are many jokes that land and many that don't. A lot of the dialogue doesn't work because it's tacky small talk just trying to fill out the running time, and the film's heavy reliance on silly voices in the dubbing gags can prove annoying at times. When the film leans too heavily into the stock footage, this is where it really comes up short because the amount of creativity in the gags is limited to what Steve Oedekerk can put into pre-existing footage or dub with his voices. It is impressive how much he comes up with, but it doesn't always land. It's when Oedekerk himself is actually on screen that the film is actually at its best. Only about 50% of the film is actually new footage, and Oedekerk's passion for the project and over-the-top energy bolster the experience when he is on screen. When he's off screen, not as much. But what the film lacks in dialogue, it makes up for in its over-the-top gags and physical comedy. I found that the film shifted towards the positive a lot more after The Chosen One fought the Kung Fu Cow, because once you understand just how ridiculous this film is really willing to be, that's when the standard has been set. When Oedekerk focuses his energy not on silly dubbing gags, but on trying to be as sincerely ridiculous as possible, that's when the film really peaks. Sometimes the gags are hilarious, sometimes they're so ridiculously over the top that it's funny someone actually thought them up in the first place, but either way, I did find myself laughing. Kung Pao Enter the Fist relies on being very juvenile, which is hit and miss, and as a result, it doesn't take full advantage of its satirical potential. It does parody certain tropes and distinctive film elements from old kung fu movies, but it exploits them for cheap laughs more often than trying to make any kind of commentary. I don't mind it per se, but there was room for more intelligent satire here, which Oedekerk didn't settle for. Nonetheless, his style of humor is thoroughly unpredictable, and honestly, I kept finding myself surprised and laughing. As a final note, I want to reiterate that Oedekerk did a very impressive job of actually constructing this film out of archive footage and CGI'ing people into the old footage. Even though the film explicitly states at the start that it borrowed a lot of archive footage, when I first watched Kung Pao Enter the Fist, I missed that and actually had no idea this was the case. For a $10 million film, I have to give this man a lot of praise for pulling this off and for doing it with such consistent technical proficiency. Even when the CGI is painfully obvious, it's always perfectly suitable for the film because it matches the sheer absurdity of everything else in the production. Even if I wasn't always laughing, I had a great time watching this film, and honestly, I am very excited for the sequel. Oedekerk himself has actually stated that he plans to sample footage from an old spaghetti western film next time. I think that's a great idea. Kung Pao Enter the Fist gets 5 gopher chucks out of 10. It is a largely hit and miss affair, which is sometimes a little bit too juvenile for its own good. But with Steve Oedekerk's passion for the project and bombastic energy, it is a very fun experience, which has a lot of quotable dialogue and scenes just waiting to be made into memes. And that does it for today's episode of Delightfully Devilish, you guys. If there are any movies you want to see me discuss on this show, please leave them in the comment section below. If you want to see more episodes of this show, please hit that subscribe button. Otherwise, until next time, I've been your host, Jukebox Harry. Peace.
I implore you to reconsider.